What is up, guys? How are you doing? I hope you're having a great morning. Today, we're going to be talking about the Seoul Dynasty. Yesterday, after their impressive 4-0 stomping of the Florida Mayhem, Ryujehong did a post-interview with Seoul. And the last question she asked him was, "You're currently undefeated. Is there any team that can take you on? Can you guys be beaten? If so, which?" And in response, Ryujehong said this.
없다고 생각하는데 근데 조금 휴스턴 팀이 걸리네요.
Personally, I don't think anyone can defeat us, but Houston is really good.
Oh, okay. Apparently nobody can beat them, and apparently Houston is really good. Now, I don't know, there's been rumors going out that Seoul Dynasty and the Koreans have been trolling Jake and purposely saying that he's a really good player. I don't know if this is part of that, where they're saying Houston's really good because they want to troll Jake more. I don't know how true those rumors are. I just found that quite funny. Thought I'd bring that up. And as to him saying nobody can beat them, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if anybody can beat them other than London Spitfire. There are 3 teams in this league that look like they might have a chance to dethrone Seoul Dynasty. First, we have the New York Excelsior taking on Seoul Dynasty in Week 3 on January the 26th. That is the closest game that they will be having against another powerhouse Korean part. After that, it'll be Week 4, February the 1st, when London Spitfire and Seoul Dynasty finally face off. Now, this is definitely the one I'm going to be circling. I think this will be the biggest chance of Seoul Dynasty dropping a set. And if Seoul Dynasty somehow come out unscathed from that set, the last chance that we have of seeing Seoul Dynasty go down would be February the 7th against Los Angeles Valiant. In my opinion, those would be their most competitive matches coming up, and if neither of those 3 teams can defeat Seoul Dynasty, they're going to finish Stage 1 without a blemish on their record. Now, this brings me back to the original question. Can anyone beat them? And if so, who? Now, if you go around and you ask a lot of analysts and other players and just people in the community in general who they think the best team is, who do they think is the strongest, who just can't lose, they'll say Seoul Dynasty about 90% of the time. Now, let's look at that 90% of people. From what I found with talking to a lot of players, people in my community, people outside of my community on Reddit, a lot of them, I could say even about 50% of that 90% think that Seoul Dynasty is just untouchable, completely untouchable. They cannot lose to anybody. They're too good. They're going to win Season 1. And, I mean, to be honest, I understand why they might think this. Yeah, Seoul Dynasty is unreal. They have some of the best players in the world. Fleta looks incredible. The guy is clearly the best Widow in the league. Ryujehong, one of the best players of all time, probably #1 player of all time. So it would make sense that a lot of people, and including you guys, I know you guys think highly of Seoul Dynasty. And you should. They're amazing. But I don't want to count out London Spitfire. I believe if any team has a chance to dethrone them, it is the London Spitfire. Let me tell you why. I think London Spitfire not only has the best chance to take out Seoul Dynasty, but I think overall, they are my #1 favorite to win the league. Yes, Seoul Dynasty is also one of my favorites to win the league, and this is a big reason why I'm so excited for Week 4. I want to see this showdown between these 2 powerhouse gods. I want to see them go head-to-head. I want to see Prophet, Birdering, taking on Fleta, Munchkin. It'll be an absolute showdown. These are 2 of the strongest teams in the entire league. If I were to create an honest tier system of the teams, Tier 1 would consist of Seoul and London. Tier 2 would consist of New York and LA Valiant. Then Tier 3 would have all the middle-of-the-pack teams. So we would have Dallas, Houston, Boston, Philadelphia Fusion, and so on and so forth. You basically get it. I believe that Seoul and London are just on a completely whole nother level. The fact that these teams have so many players that are just absolutely insanely talented on their roster gives them such an advantage when they are practicing. Having so many good players on a single roster allows these players to practice with each other and push each other, especially when you know that they are Korean. We all know Koreans work the hardest. It's not a myth. It is proven fact. They work the hardest. Their mentality is different from Western players. They have a different working regime, and their regime is proven to be superior. Now, I don't know exactly what it is. Yes, they play more. They work harder. Their infrastructure is better. All of the above. And then when they are surrounded by so many talented players, when you look at a roster like San Francisco Shock when there's some talented players here and there, but nothing like truly that amazing. And then you look at a roster like London Spitfire or Seoul Dynasty, and every single player you list is just beyond talented. It's crazy to think about because these players are pushing each other every single day to improve. We saw Jito, who was previously an insane Tracer player, flexing onto the Zenyatta today and putting Ryujehong on the Mercy. Sure, it was against Florida Mayhem, who don't look that strong, but still, this just proves that even their previous DPS players are providing competition on these roles like Zenyatta. I mean, Jito was popping off. He looked like a great Zenyatta player. Again, yeah, I get it. Florida Mayhem isn't that great, but they're an Overwatch League team. They still have talent. Seoul Dynasty and London Spitfire are just unbelievably stacked. The depth of their rosters is unreal. Let me use this analogy of comparing the Overwatch League to the NBA. So we have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, the two best teams respectively in the NBA. One in the Eastern Conference, one in the Western Conference. And we've seen over the past few years that each team just absolutely dominates their conference without running into much competition, leading up to their epic finals showdown. And in these finals, both teams have beaten each other. Golden State winning the first one, Cavaliers winning the second one, and then Golden State winning the third one. And they are bound again for another matchup this year. Why? Because their rosters have so much depth. You look throughout the NBA, no other teams have as many good players in almost every single position. It's because in the era of salary cap in NBA, you're only allowed to get so many good players because these good star players ask for so much money. But when you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, they have these superstar players taking pay cuts. Look at Cleveland, for example. They have Isaiah Thomas, who could easily be the star player on any team he joins in the league, but he sits on Cleveland for $6 million a year, guys. He can easily make 20 plus on any other team, but he decides to sacrifice the pay to stay with his team to win a championship. It's the same situation with Dwayne Wade also on the Cleveland Cavaliers, being paid only $2 million a year. I guarantee you he can go anywhere with his veteran status and his multiple championships and make over $10 million. Now, I don't want to get too in-depth with the NBA because I know some of you guys might not watch it, but that was just a quick comparison. Now, let's look at these London Spitfire and Seoul Dynasty rosters, and I think about it, wow, how did none of these players end up on other teams? How come teams like Philadelphia Fusion, Boston Uprising, Florida Mayhem, San Francisco Shock didn't go out and try to pay high salary to pick up Ryujehong or Profit or Birdring? Well, actually, I think they did. I think these players all knew that they would have a more successful career and longer career if they stayed with the teams they were on now. If they stuck it out, took lower salary, and committed to winning championships. There is absolutely no way that players like Birdring and Ryujehong did not get offers from Philadelphia Fusion, Florida Mayhem, Boston Uprising. I mean, matter of fact, Boston Uprising was rumored to have sent Huck to Korea to try to get Birdring, and I guarantee you they offered him mad salary. I wouldn't doubt it if all these players on London and Seoul are making around 100K, 80 to 120 respectively per player, and they easily could have been offered 200 for a role on a team like Boston. Now, that's just my theory, and there's a quick comparison to show how selfless and committed these Korean players are to winning championships and sticking it out together. It is true camaraderie, and because of this, they will dominate the Overwatch League for years to come. And that's what I got marked on my calendar. That's what is going to be the pinnacle of Overwatch. The grand finals, London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, the two giants of the Overwatch League taking on each other, and an incredible best of 7 set. Who will reign supremacy over the Overwatch League? Will it be Profit, Birdring, or Ryujehong and Fleta? The Seoul Dynasty, London Spitfire, the most epic match in history. Talking about this literally gives me goosebumps, guys. I'm not even joking. I have goosebumps right now as we speak. It just sounds so epic, guys. I can't wait. This is what it's all about. We want to see the best Overwatch. These two Korean powerhouses are my predictions for the finals. I believe they're going to be the strongest in the world. And I know I just went on for about 9 minutes on why Seoul Dynasty and London Spitfire are so good and if anybody can beat them. But that's just truly how I feel, guys. Other than that, guys, we saw the San Francisco Shock take on the Philadelphia Fusion yesterday. It was a somewhat close match. a little back and forth here and there. The Shock, they fired back. They got a draw on Eichenwald. They took down the Fusion on Dorado with a first hold. That was nice to see. Baby Bay, again, looking like a strong player for San Francisco Shock. But on the Philadelphia Fusion side, they just had too many playmakers. They had Shadowburn, Carpe, obviously, on their respective Tracer, and Genji popping off almost every single map. And Poco, wow, Poco, man. News broke yesterday that Poco has 41 self-destruct kills in only 3 matches. And any of the other closest divas in the league is Zumba and Envy at only 11 self-destruct kills so far. He's nearly quadrupling what they have, guys. That is absolutely unreal. Now, after that statement was released, Wins, previously of Rogue, went and made a post on Twitter saying this: Poco seems to be the only pro that went through the hassle of practicing self-destruct placement in custom games, and it shows. His diva bombs are precisely placed to cover the most space. It's rare that he doesn't get a kill with it. Hard work pays off. And in reply, Poco said this on Twitter: I trained for hours in custom games to find the perfect angle and the perfect position to place myself in so that the enemy is least likely to get away and they must commit, and now it has just become natural. Now, big ups to Poco for this, proving that he's not only just one of the best divas in the entire world, but he is also putting in the work, and that is why you can see the results. So kids, if you want to be a pro player, if you're aspiring to be great like Poco or any of the other players in the league, you have to work hard. You have to go through the little things like going in custom games, watching POVs of other players, studying, and just working hard in general at the game, guys. So this is great to see. Again, big ups to Poco, looking like one of the best divas in the league. And besides that, guys, not really much to go over. Florida Mayhem got destroyed by Seoul. Houston Outlaws destroyed the Shanghai Dragons. As expected, today we got that infamous Dallas Fuel and Houston Outlaws match. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that, guys, as well as the New York Excelsior and Los Angeles Valiant, and then Philadelphia Fusion and Los Angeles Gladiators. Definitely looking like a better day than yesterday. Some stacked rosters going head-to-head, so I can't wait to look at those games. And that's basically it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. Slap a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and join the Discord, guys. Peace.